Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. Happy Wednesday, everybody. I hope your day and your week are going very well so far. We've got a new day, which of course means a new NBA player prop video to share with you guys. But first, as always, people, please make sure to go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below. It helps the channel grow, and it really does mean a ton to us. With a new day comes some new opportunities to go ahead and make some money. I have 5 NBA player props to go ahead and share with you guys in tonight's NBA slate. But first and foremost, guys, I want to apologize for no video yesterday. We had a little bit of an emergency over at the pizza shop, so I just couldn't find the chance to record yesterday, so I really do apologize for no picks yesterday. Hopefully, I can make it up to you guys today by giving you guys a nice 5-0 performance. Hey, we can do it. But one more thing before we dive into the picks. I'm going to try and be quick with this. Obviously, this week is the NBA All-Star break. Tomorrow is actually our last NBA player prop video until the following Wednesday. There's no NBA regular season on from Friday through Tuesday. And I'm sorry to those who want an All-Star video. I don't do player props for All-Star game. I don't find the value in it. Guys don't try hard. Nobody plays defense. No one really cares. Why would I put my hard-earned cash on a game where literally they're just playing around in a scrimmage? Not saying I won't watch the All-Star game and support it, but I just don't like betting on it personally. So I will not be doing a player prop video for the All-Star game. I will be taking the nice break over the All-Star weekend. However, I do want to make at least one video for you guys with that long absence. And so I want to do something I've never done before, and that is a Q&A video. Something I've been wanting to do for a while, because obviously when we're talking player props here, we're talking betting. There's only so much time to go ahead and dive into the other things, other topics. My Super Bowl video kind of proved that people don't really want to listen to that. They want to listen to the picks. But I thought it'd be a cool idea and another chance for me to make another video while we're on this break, because again, there's going to be no NBA content from us for those 4 or 5, 6 days, however long it is. So I want to do that for you guys. So go ahead and drop your questions down below. I'll do it today and tomorrow. We're going to shoot to have the video out on Monday. I'm going to do a Q&A video. You can ask whatever you want. Sports betting tips, sports betting questions, my worst beats, my best wins. You want to talk about NBA in general? You want to talk about football? You want to talk about sports? You want to talk about personal life, questions? Whatever you guys want to ask me, drop your questions down below today and tomorrow. And that video will be out on Monday answering all your questions. I'm going to try to answer most of all your questions. But yeah, that was a fun little thing to do over the All-Star break. Maybe get to know each other a little bit more. You can learn more about me, can give more of my opinions. Maybe you don't care. It is what it is. But yeah, fun thing we're going to do on Monday. So go ahead and drop your questions down below that you want answered in Monday's Q&A. Again, it can be basically about anything. Let's just keep it obviously respectful. All right, guys, enough rambling. Let's dive right into today's picks. No time to waste, jumping right into the outlier screen. Our first pick in today's slate comes from the Hawks-Knicks game, 7:30 p.m. tip-off. We're going Karl Anthony Towns of the New York Knicks under 28.5 points plus assists. Now, normally I don't like fading superstars. It's just one thing I don't like to do, betting unders on players like Giannis and Curry. Not to say Karl Anthony Towns is on the level of necessarily Giannis, but obviously he's one of the premier stars in the NBA. And normally I don't like fading a player like Cat, but I do think it's a pretty good spot. If you're going to fade him, this is the matchup to go ahead and fade him. And the data actually is pretty solid across the board on this player prop. Cat has cashed the He's cashed the under in 7 of his last 10 games. That is a 70% hit rate, and he is averaging 23.7 points plus assists per game over his last 10 games. Now, obviously, you see that big red data point right here. Last night against the Pacers, he had a massive performance, 40 points and 5 assists. It was a 13-point victory for the New York Knicks. So again, players like Cat can go off on any given moment. Funny story, and I'm not saying this to deter you from taking this player prop, but last year, I don't remember exactly what game it was. I don't exactly remember what the final stat line was, but I remember I took Cat's under in points, and that was the game that he scored, I think, like 62 points. It was it last year. I remember he had that really big game. Him and Luka both had these massive scoring performances around the same time. I think it was like 6. I know he got 60 plus. I don't think he got 70. I think it was like 62 points. Correct me if I'm wrong. But the moral of the story being, I faded him. I took his under, and he had like 60 plus points in that game. So sometimes that can happen. Again, not to deter you from taking this player prop, I do think this is a really solid line. I don't think he's scoring 60 plus points in today's matchup. Again, he had a really big game last night, but that could play into our hands here for this player prop today against Atlanta. So again, 70% hit rate over his last 10 games. If you go ahead and stretch the data out for the entire season view, a 52% hit rate on the year on this under. 25 out of 48 games, he's cashed the under. He's averaging 27.65 points plus assists per game overall this year. So he is averaging right around that line. However, he is still cashing the under majority of the time, 52% of the time. He's cashing the under. And if all that data didn't convince you, the head-to-head data is also pretty solid here. You see 4 of his last 5 meetings against the Atlanta Hawks, he has cashed the under. That is an 80% hit rate, averaging 23.4 points plus assists per game across those previous 5 meetings against the Atlanta Hawks. Pretty good amount of data this year as well. He's already played Atlanta 3 times this season. This is actually the 4th meeting between the Hawks and the Knicks this year. He's cashed the under in 2 of the 3 meetings this year against Atlanta. You see the first meeting versus the Hawks back on November 6th. He had a really big game, 34 points and 1 assist. But in the 2 subsequent meetings since then, back on December 11th, and then again the most recent matchup on January 20th. He cashed the under both times. There could be multiple factors here. One of the big one, of course, being Atlanta finally moved off of Clint Capella, who's now coming off the bench, and now they've moved on to Onyeka Okongwu. And spoiler alert, at this point in his career, Okongwu is a better center than Clint Capella. Not saying Capella has no value, but Okongwu was definitely the better choice. So again, overall, the data seems to be pretty solid here. Again, versus centers this season, Atlanta 9th in assists allowed, which is not really where we're too concerned because I don't think Cat's going to get too many assists here. I'm more worried about the point side of things. They're about middle of the road, giving up 18.6 points per game this season to opposing centers. But this being the second night of a back-to-back, coming off a really big game last night, a matchup where, again, he's cashed the under in 4 of his last 5 meetings against Atlanta. He's cashing the under pretty consistently across the board all season long. I really do like the spot here for Karl-Anthony Towns on this under, and it's pretty good value too, minus 118 over on FanDuel, not too bad. Like the spot here for the under. This also has blowout potential. The Hawks, Jalen Johnson out for the year. They traded DeAndre Hunter. Trae Young is questionable in this game, a game-time decision. This game could have blowout potential, which honestly would probably help us in this case because Cat, coming off the second night of a back-to-back, may not play as many minutes if this is a blowout. All right, guys, our second player prop in today's slate comes from the Cavs-Raptors game, 7:30 p.m. tip-off. We're going Emmanuel quickly of the Toronto Raptors under 24.5 points plus assists. We're getting this one for minus 125 over on FanDuel. It is available on multiple sports books for varying odds. And as always, guys, like I say, make sure to go ahead and shop around for the best sportsbook odds available. It's very important for finding the best value. Again, some of these books are not available to me. Bet365, Underdog, not available in my state. However, some of them might be available in your state, so make sure to go ahead and shop around for the best sportsbook odds available. So Emmanuel quickly, actually, this player prop is very similar in style and tone to the Karl-Anthony Towns player prop. He's also playing on the second night of a back-to-back where he cashed the over in a pretty solid way last night. They beat the Sixers in a 3-point victory. Pretty impressive victory there for Toronto. Quickly had 23 points and 5 assists in that win last night. However, despite the good game last night, the overall data is in our favor here. You see quickly has cashed the under in 7 of his last 10 games. That is a 70% hit rate, averaging 19.9 points plus assists per game over his last 10 games. Now, if you go ahead and stretch the data out to the entire season view, well, it doesn't go very far. He's only played 15 games this year, but he has cashed the under in 10 out of 15 games this season. That is a 67% hit rate, averaging 21 points plus assists per game overall this year. And from a head-to-head perspective, the data gets even stronger. You see he's cashed the under in each of his 6 previous matchups against the Cleveland Cavaliers. That is a 100% hit rate, averaging 17.83 points plus assists per game across the previous 6 meetings with the Cavaliers. To narrow that head-to-head data down a little bit, he has played Cleveland twice this year, back on October 23rd, and then again their most recent meeting on January 9th. He cashed the under both times, and both times he finished with exactly 17 points plus assists. Overall, we know Cleveland is a pretty solid defensive team, 11th overall in points allowed, 8th overall in assists. Now, if you do narrow it down to the point guard position, they actually aren't a great scoring defense against point guards, 21st in the NBA. They're giving up on average 24.5 points per game against point guards. Again, though, you look at the head-to-head data, he's only the highest scoring performance he's had versus the Cavs dating back to October 2023, 18 points, which was back on November 2023. He hasn't broken 20 once in any of these matchups, and the assist numbers have also been fairly low in these games. So yes, the defensive data looks to be pretty not great. There's also some blowout potential here. Cleveland could kill them. Toronto, again, is playing on the second night of a back-to-back, which I don't think favors very well for Quickly. And then we also have, finally, the insights provided by Outlier. Emmanuel Quickly has failed to exceed 24.5 points plus assists in 5 of his last 6 games versus top 10 defenses for assists allowed. The Cavs are ranked 9th in the NBA overall. 8th in the NBA overall in assists allowed, giving up 25.5 assists per game this year. Again, quickly has failed to exceed 24.5 points plus assists in 5 of his last 6 games versus top 10 defenses for assists allowed. He's averaging 19 points plus assists per game across this stretch of games, an 83% hit rate. So again, just another solid data point to go ahead and show you. Looks like a really solid player prop. Again, I'm getting this from -125 over on FanDuel. Not half bad if you ask me. That's the second player prop in today's slate. All right, guys, our third player prop in today's slate, we're targeting the Pistons-Bulls game, 8 p.m. tip-off, and we're riding the hot hand here with Ausar Thompson over 18.5 points plus rebounds plus assists, which we're getting for -105 odds over on BetMGM. Really solid value there. The data of late has been really, really solid. And if you go ahead and look at the overall numbers for Thompson here, they haven't been great, but he's really gotten hot of late, which has kind of been fun to watch, honestly. Thompson has struggled with multiple injuries over his career thus far, his short career, I should say. He's faced multiple injuries, and honestly, we've yet to really see him fully healthy. Now you're really seeing him fully healthy, maximizing his potential, and he's been playing really, really solid. Looking at the last 10 game data, he's cashed this over in 7 of his last 10 games. That is a 70% hit rate, averaging 19.5 points plus rebounds plus assists per game over his last 10 games. If we go ahead and narrow it down a little bit, though, he's cashed the over in 6 straight games, including last night's matchup against the Bulls. Like the 2 previous player props before this one, he is playing on the second night of a back-to-back, and what's rare about this one is he's playing the same team. He's playing the Bulls again, which honestly spells pretty well for us. The Bulls obviously are a defensive mess this year, 29th in all 3 key categories, points, rebounds, and assists, so a good matchup. If we do go ahead and narrow it down to the forward spot, the small forward, which is primary position, they do rank pretty solid, 7th in points, 4th in rebounds, and 18th in assists, but I'm not too concerned about that because the head-to-head data here for Ausar Thompson against the Bulls is really solid. He's cashed the over in each of his 5 previous matchups against the Chicago Bulls. That is a 100% hit rate, averaging 24.4 points plus rebounds plus assists per game across those previous 5 matchups against Chicago. So again, really good head-to-head data. He's played them 2 times this year, and honestly, both of those meetings have been in the last 10 days. This is the 3rd time he's playing Chicago in the last 10 days. He's cashed the over in the previous 2 meetings this year. Back on February 2nd, he had 22 points, rebounds, assists, and then again last night he had 23 points, rebounds, assists. He's heating up, and I feel like the Pistons are going to start giving him some more playing time, some more opportunities. And again, we're just riding the hot hand here. He's been playing really, really solid overall. Chicago, I know the numbers versus small forwards isn't great, but it is overall a solid defensive matchup here. And again, 5 straight head-to-head meetings. He's cashed in 6 straight games in general. Really good numbers for Ausar Thompson. I'm going to go ahead and rock with him here. For -105 odds over on BetMGM also, really, really solid value here. We have 2 player props left in today's video. I want to take a break here real quick, though, to say thank you to all those who are still watching at this point in today's video. As always, guys, make sure to hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below. Again, comment your questions for Monday's Q&A video. It can be anything you want. Sports betting tips, sports questions. Could be about baseball, football, basketball. I'm pretty well versed in all sports. Okay, soccer questions, anything you want to ask, personal life questions, anything, even pop culture, movies, TV, anything you want to ask me, go ahead and drop your questions down below, and I'm going to answer as many of them as I possibly can in Monday's video. Again, thank you very much, guys, for the support all year round in every single one of my videos. Let's finish off with these 2 picks. All right, guys, my 4th player prop in today's slate comes from the Heat Thunder game, 8 p.m. tip-off. We're going Andrew Wiggins of the Miami Heat over 19.5 points plus rebounds. Now, how you feel about this player prop really all depends on where you're getting the line at. So at 19.5 points plus rebounds, I have it available to me over at BetMGM for -120 odds. But you do see over on DraftKings, which obviously a more widely accessible sports book, they have it at -165, which is a little too much sauce on that one. A little too much sauce. You could go to 20.5, which is the more, I think, general line here. 20.5, again, available FanDuel -113, Caesars -106. The data is still not bad. It's a little bit less, not as potent, I'd say, at 19.5, but you could go both lines. The data isn't too drastically different. But again, if I can shave a point off and get it for -120 odds, I'm going to go ahead and do that. So we'll go ahead and go back to the 19.5 point plus rebound line. But again, you could take it at 20.5. Most of the data stays the same. Just the overall numbers are slightly better at 19.5 points plus rebounds compared to 20.5 points plus rebounds. But the data is pretty solid here at 19.5. He's cashed this in 8 of his last 10 games, an 80% hit rate, averaging 25 points plus rebounds per game across his previous 10 games. Now, obviously, the key thing to note here with Wiggins is the overall data could be solid, but obviously, most of that data is when he was a member of the Golden State Warriors. He's only played one game as a member of the Miami Heat a couple of days ago versus the Celtics. He had 11 points and 5 rebounds and obviously did not cash the over in that game. But it was his first game. It was his debut with the Miami Heat. And he did take a good number of shots, 12 shot attempts in that game. The problem is he shot just 3 for 12 from the floor. So just had a really rough shooting night. But I do think the volume there is pretty encouraging. The fact that in his first game with the Heat, he took 12 shots, played 30 minutes, all that good stuff. Obviously, as he becomes more comfortable, as he spends more time with this Heat team, I expect Wiggins to fit much better in this lineup. So yeah, like I said, we can look at the overall data. A 66% hit rate on the year for Wiggins, 29 out of 44 games. He's cashed the over, averaging 22 points plus rebounds per game in this year. Again, most of that data, 43 of those 44 games, he was a member of the Golden State Warriors. So take it with a grain of salt because, again, his fit, his role, everything's going to be a little bit different in Miami than it was in Golden State. Could be better, could be different for worse or better. It's yet to be seen. He's kind of slipping right into that Jimmy Butler position, though. I'm not saying he's going to do Jimmy Butler things, but he kind of fills that void that Butler left. So I think he could step in and put up some decent numbers, and especially this line in particular. I do like, again, he shot 3 for 12. He shoots a little bit better. We have a cash on our hands there. And it's honestly a pretty good matchup. I know you look at the Oklahoma City Thunder and you say, why would you bet against them? But honestly, Wiggins had some success versus the Thunder. You see the head-to-head data. 5 of his last 7 meetings against the Oklahoma City Thunder, he's cashed this over. That's a 71% hit rate, and he's averaging 23.86 points plus rebounds per game across the previous 7 meetings against OKC. We also have a pretty good deal of recent data. He's played OKC 3 times this year, again, as a member of the Warriors, but he played them 3 times. He cashed the over in all 3 meetings with the Thunder this year. Some pretty good games, too. His last time out versus the Thunder back on January 29th, a couple weeks ago, he had 27 points and 4 assists in that game. So, again, he's had some pretty big games against this Thunder team. And it kind of makes sense. Now, overall, the Thunder are a really solid defensive team, the number 1 defensive team in the NBA, actually, only giving up 104.8 points per game this season. However, the one real weak spot they have defensively is versus small forwards. 20th in points allowed, 29th in rebounds allowed. So it's a really good matchup here for Andrew Wiggins. And we also have the insights provided by Outlier. Andrew Wiggins has exceeded 19.5 points plus rebounds in 9 of his last 11 games versus bottom 10 defenses for rebounds allowed. He's averaging 25.1 points plus rebounds per game across that trend there, 82% hit rate. So really good numbers across the board. I love the player prop here. A little risky because it is only his second game with the Heat, but I do think the matchup is too sweet to go ahead and avoid. And again, we're getting this one for minus 120 on BetMGM, so pretty good value. So Andrew Wiggins, over 19.5 points plus rebounds. That's the 4th player prop in today's video. And wrapping things up, guys, our 5th and final player prop in today's slate. We're targeting the Lakers-Jazz game, 9 p.m. tip-off. This is the same player prop we used on Monday that did cash for us. We're going LeBron over 7.5 assists. Now, I am acknowledging there is a little extra sauce on this player prop here. Minus 140 over on DraftKings. Wherever you're getting it, the best odds are minus 135 over on Bet365. But wherever you go, really, a little bit of sauce on this one. The value is not the best. Again, the odds are a little high for my liking, but minus 140. I'll go ahead and take that and put a little extra units, maybe an extra 0.15 or 0.25 units here, because the data is really solid, and LeBron's been cashing this line pretty consistently all season long. LeBron has cashed the over in 9 of his last 10 games. That's a 90% hit rate, averaging 9.6 assists per game over his last 10 games. Like I said, we bet this on Monday against the exact same team, the Utah Jazz, and he cashed the over with 8 assists in that game. So 8 straight games he's cashed the over. Really good numbers. Go ahead and stretch the data out to the last 20 games for LeBron. 90% hit rate. 18 of his last 20 games he's cashed the over, not the under. Certainly not the under. The over, averaging 9.1 assists per game over his last 20 games. So like I said, the further you go ahead and stretch the data out, honestly, the more impressive it gets. Because obviously anyone can go on a little bit of a run here, a little streak, but to have a 90% hit rate over the last 20 games, and again, if you go ahead and stretch the numbers out to the entire season view, a 74% hit rate on the over, well, that's pretty damn impressive to me, especially when you consider his age and everything. LeBron, I'm not a LeBron guy. I'm actually a LeBron hater. If you want to go ahead and put me in a class, I'm a LeBron hater, but you got to respect it. The guy's 40 years old and doing this is pretty crazy. 74% hit rate overall this year, 35 out of 47 games. He's cashed the over, averaging 9.02 assists per game this year. So again, really good numbers across the board. And if we go ahead and look at the head-to-head numbers here, for LeBron. He's cashed in each of his previous 4 matchups against the Utah Jazz. That's a 100% hit rate, averaging 10.75 assists per game across the previous 4 meetings with Utah. He has played them 3 times this year already, back on November 19th. He had 12 assists in that game. December 1st, he had 14 assists, and again, one more time to reiterate, the last time they played just 2 days ago, he had 8 assists in that game, which is actually the lowest number of assists he's had against Utah across those previous 4 meetings. So really good numbers overall. The Jazz, they are 27th in the NBA in assists allowed, so a really good matchup across the board. And I know Luka obviously was his debut the other night. It'll hopefully be his second game today. Some people are saying like, oh, Luka might take away from it. I think Luka will only increase LeBron's assist numbers because now LeBron can set Luka up. LeBron doesn't have to be the scoring priority. He can kind of back off and sort of set the offense up for Luka to succeed. So if anything, I think Luka's arrival could only help these assist numbers go up. I'm taking the line now because I do think if it cashes again today, the next time we try to go and take this line, 7.5 might be like minus 175 because the numbers are too crazy. I'm surprised we're even getting it minus 140 with the data we've gotten. So pretty solid player prop here. That's our 5th and final prop in today's video. Again, guys, one more time, thank you very much for watching. Please make sure to go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below. Again, make sure to drop your questions down below for Monday's Q&A video. Any questions you want, again, as long as we keep it respectful in PG-13. That's the farthest I'm willing to go is PG-13. But drop your questions down below. Again, I'll make sure to remind you guys tomorrow again. Obviously, there's no Friday video, so there's no Freaky Friday. So tomorrow will be Thursday. We'll do a 5-leg parlay for tomorrow, our last video before the All-Star break. And again, you know, I know some people are going to ask for an All-Star video. Not coming from me, unfortunately. But yeah, let's go into the All-Star break on a high note. Let's cash today, and let's go ahead and cash even bigger tomorrow. Guys, until tomorrow, hope you're all winners. Let's go ahead and make some money.